We haven't had any SeaDragons. They've just been quiet. They've been in the XFL hub down in Texas preparing for the start of the XFL season. We do have some news finally. Oops. Oh, that's a problem. On the 10th, the CU Dragons had their official roster released. So, there it is. The 9th, pardon me. The team released their 51-man roster for the 2023 season. Some notable names on there. So now we can finally go over them and learn our Sea Dragons. So starting out with the quarterbacks and running backs. Quarterbacks, Ben DiNucci and Steven Montez obviously round that out, but Harrison Frost joins the group, including now we look at Morgan Ellison, TJ Hammond, Brendan Knox, and Charlie Taumapeo. Round out the running backs here. We move over to our pass catchers on the wide receiver spot. Obviously, Josh Gordon is the big name to watch. Jawan Green, Blake Jackson, Ja'Cory Pearson, Jalen Redd, Jordan Vesey, and Damian Willis round out the pass catchers of the group. Interestingly enough, there was no tight end listed on the roster as a tight end. Maybe they, I'm not too sure how that'll go, but there was no tight end or fullback listed on the roster as those respective positions. They could be under different positions, but they weren't listed that way. We move over to our offensive line. Tiyan Karoma, Michael Monet, Chris Owens, Jared Thomas, Paul Gratton, Liam Jimmins, Barry Wesley, Javon Latuli, and Ryan Pope line up the big hogs up front for the offensive line to protect one of those quarterbacks, whether it is DiNucci or Steven Montez. We flip over to the defense on the defensive line. Austin Feolu, Daniel Joseph, Nico Lalos, PJ Hall, Trayvon Hester, Antoine Jackson, Sama Pama, former University of Washington Husky, actually follows us on Twitter, so what's up, Sama? And Elijah Ponder. We move over to our backers, our linebackers, Jordan Evans, Clarence Hicks, who's pictured here, Cesar Skipper, Trey Walker, and Emmanuel Smith. We go over to our cornerbacks, guys who are going to try to create a sort of no-fly zone here in our safeties. Cornerbacks, Antoine Brooks, Quinterio Cole, Shabari Davis, Registerman Ferris, Chris Jones, Zafir Kelly, Lyndon Steffens, Bryce Thompson, and Mikael Wright, as well as the safeties Elijah Holder and Sharif Miller. You are reading that right. There's only 2 listed safeties on the roster, so that might be a problem. We look over to our special teams here to round out our roster. Our kicker will be Dominic Eberle, our long snapper Thomas Fletcher, and our punter Cameron Nizialek. So that is your 2023 51-man roster for our Seawolves. So they're preparing for their season opener in just a few days, actually on Sunday. We'll get to that when we get to our up next. But it's really interesting to see, Montez and DiNucci obviously stay as the quarterbacks. I'm really excited on Brendan Knox. Morgan Ellison was the one that you saw pictured there. Obviously, Josh Gordon, everybody's excited about Josh Gordon. I know a lot of people have been like, where are the Josh Gordon Sea Dragons jerseys at? Ja'Cory Pearson, though, and Jalen Redd, they interest me as well. Offensive line is going to be key. You look at the 2 teams in the Super Bowl, right? The Chiefs and the Eagles have great offensive lines. So being able to protect your quarterback, being able to set the run, that'll be a big deal. The defensive line, great to see guys like PJ Hall, Nico Lalos down there, Sama Pama, again, University of Washington guy that actually follows us. That's great to see. Jordan Evans will be exciting at the linebacker spot. Some interesting names on the cornerback list. Lyndon Steffens was a Seahawk at one point. Anton Brooks is there. Mikael Wright, I believe he's an Oregon guy. Used to be Oregon. Only having 2 safeties is an interesting look. Just in case of injury or something else like that. And then Dominic Eberle was a signing that a lot of people were excited for as well when that was announced. So great to actually have an idea of what our roster looks like going forward, especially considering that the first game of the season is this Sunday. So the first game of the XFL season for our Sea Dragons is February 19th at the BC Defenders. That's a 5 p.m. Pacific time start, and that game will be on ESPN. So if you're looking for a place to find that, luckily ESPN will have that. Makes that a lot easier for us to find.